Recording in progress.
Hari Om, Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om, Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Welcome to the story time of Bhagavatam with Naresh Mama. I hope everybody is doing well and good. So let's get started with our usual prayers that we do normally. Today we are going to start with two new slokas. But first one will always be the prayer to Lord Ganesha, because anytime we start anything, we start with the prayer to Lord Ganesha, because he is the one who always removes all the obstacles and gives us the success that we always look for when we start anything new. So today also we are starting Bhagavatam. So before we start our sessions, before we start the story, first let's do the prayer to Lord Ganesha. You all know this sloka very well now, so let's sing along. Vakratunda Mahakaya Koti Surya Samaprabha Nirvighanam Kuru Me Deva Sarva Karyeshu Sarvada. Excellent work. So today we are going to introduce a new sloka. This is for Lord Sri Krishna. You all know who Sri Krishna is. Up until now, we heard the story of Ramayana. Now we are starting Bhagavatam. So now we are going to learn a new sloka, which is a prayer to Lord Sri Krishna. So first I will say 1 to 2 words. Please repeat after me. So Bhavya, Moksha, you have a question, you can unmute yourself and ask.
Sir, I know this sloka, sir.
Excellent. Okay, you can sing along with me when we do the recital together. For now, for everybody else, let's do the repetition. Okay, I will do 1 to 2 words. Please repeat after me. Kasturi tilakam lalata falake Vakshasthale kaustubham Nasagre Navamauktikam Karatale Venum Kare Kankanam Sarvange Harichandanancha Kalayam Kanthecha Muktavali Gopastri Pariveštito Vijayate Gopala Chudamani. Excellent work. So if you are not able to follow 1 or 2 words, don't worry about it. We are going to recite this sloka every session, before starting every session. So by 2 or 3 weeks, you will be very fluent with this sloka. So what the sloka means is, when you look at Lord Krishna, he has a lot of alankaram, like, he gets ready with different things. So Kasturi Tilakam, he has a very bright Tilakam or Bottu on his forehead. And Lalata Falake, on his forehead, he has this beautiful Bottu that he puts. Vakshasthale Kaustubham. He has a blue diamond on his chest, the necklace that he wears. So that is called a Kaustubham. It is dark blue and it is beautiful. In this picture, you won't be able to see it, but normally he wears a blue diamond on his chest. Nasagre Navamauktikam. He has a small pearl nose ring that he normally adorns, normally he wears. So the poet, he's describing all the decorations, all that ornaments that Lord Sri Krishna is wearing. Okay, Karatale Venum. So he holds a flute in his hands all the time. He is a musician. He always plays flute. So he always has a flute in his hand. Kare Kankanam. He wears these beautiful bracelets on his hand, both his hands. So when he walks, they make beautiful sound. Gal 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 gal. They make sound when he walks. Sarvange Harichandanancha Kalayam. So he smears nice, beautiful sandal paste after taking shower. So he's always smelling like sandal and tulsi, and beautiful smell when you think of Lord Sri Krishna. Kanthecha Muktavali. He wears a pearl necklace along with other ornaments and necklaces. He wears a beautiful pearl necklace around his neck. Gopastri Pariveshtito Vijayate Gopala Chudamani. He is the star of all Gopalas, all the people in Vrindavan. He is the star of the stars, and he's always surrounded by his people around him. He's always surrounded by his people, and they all love him so much. So that Sri Krishna we all do namaskaram and pray to. So that is the new sloka that we are introducing. From next week onwards, I won't go through the meaning again. So we are just going to do the repetition in a couple of weeks. You'll get to get used to this sloka very quickly. So again, a new sloka. Up until now, we heard the story of Ramayana. Everybody remembers who wrote Ramayana? Thumbs up.
Valmiki.
Awesome. So now we are going to listen to the story of Bhagavatam, and this story is written by Veda Vyasa. So to pay our respects, to do the namaskaram for providing this great story to us, providing this great literature to us, every session we are going to do a prayer to Veda Vyasa, who wrote Bhagavatam. So this is a new sloka, so please repeat after me. I'm going to do one or two words and then you can repeat after me. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. Excellent work. You guys are such fast learners. I really appreciate it. So in this prayer, what we are saying is Narayanam, who is Lord Sri Krishna. Excuse me for the spelling mistake here. It is Lord Sri Krishna. And I pray to Lord Sri Krishna, who is the star of this story, who is the hero of this story, and Arjuna, who is the associate, who is the friend, who is the relative, who is the cousin of Lord Sri Krishna in the story of Bhagavatam. So I pray to him also, because they are Naranarayana, they are pair together that came to earth to help out all the humans by eradicating the evil. So I pray to Arjuna. And I pray to Goddess Saraswati Devi. Saraswati Devi is the goddess of education. So I pray to her to give me the knowledge, give me the strength to learn this great story. And the author of Mahabharatam and Bhagavatam, Veda Vyasa. So we are going to learn a little bit about Veda Vyasa. So in the coming slides, but for now, please know that Veda Vyasa wrote many Indian scriptures that are the pillars of Indian culture, that are the pillars of Hindu culture. And out of those, the most important, and everything is important, but the most prominent ones that we know of is the Mahabharatam, which is the story of Pandavas and Kauravas, and the Bhagavatam, which are the stories of the God, which is Lord Shiva or Lord Vishnu. So somebody raised their hand. Do you have a question? You can unmute yourself and ask your question now. Anuhya, I think.
Sir, so if Arjuna is in Bhagavatam, is Mahabharatam in Bhagavatam?
No, Mahabharatam is a different epic. So in our scriptures, Ramayanam and Mahabharatam are called epics. They are called itihasas. Very big, and the story of Rama and the story of Pandava and Kauravas led by Lord Sri Krishna. That is Bharatam. And the story of Rama, we already heard Ramayanam. So apart from that, there are many, many Puranas. So Bhagavatam is one of the Puranas, and we are going to learn that different names of the Puranas and the Bhagavatam and Bharatam, all of those separately. But in this story, we are not going to learn about Bharatam. This is a story, Bhagavatam, which is separate from Bharatam, but it is both of them were written by Veda Vyasa. That's why we are doing the prayer here to Veda Vyasa, saying, you are the one who wrote Bharatam and Bhagavatams, and we pray to you, Sir Veda Vyasa. And I will tell you how the Bharatam and Bhagavatam touch each other. They come very close to each other, but they're both different stories, separate segments from each other, but they have a little bit of overlap. And I will go through that and I will explain to you before we start our stories. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Hari Om. So next is our usual prayer. I know you all know this very well. So let's sing this together. This is the prayer for the teacher. So keep your mind on Veda Vyasa, who is going to be all our teacher, and keep your mind on Lord Krishna, who is Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. He is the Guru of the entire world. So let's do the prayer together. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Excellent work. Now let's get started with our story time. So this is the beginning of Bhagavatam. We are going to start with the new story, the Purana of Bhagavatam. And as I mentioned, this story in this Purana is written by Veda Vyasa. First, before we go into the session, before we start the stories, first we are going to learn who Veda Vyasa is, what his accomplishments are, and how he is the pillar of Indian scriptures, Indian literature, and Hinduism. What all we know, everything is given by Valmiki and Veda Vyasa. So how much we owe to them, we are going to talk about that before we get into the story. Pranavi, you raised your hand. You can unmute yourself and ask your question.
What chapter is his name?
Bhagavatam is the name of the entire story, like the Ramayanam. So this is the story of God. Bhagavatam is a collection of many stories, small stories. So you must have read story books which have like small stories of each different stories put together into a book, together into a story book, right? Bhagavatam is something like that. So it has so many episodes. All the episodes are related to the stories of God. So the entire name of the book is called Bhagavatam. Okay? Did that answer your question? Okay, excellent. So now let's get started with our session. So first we are going to, like I said, we are going to see who Veda Vyasa is. As like we discussed, he is the one who wrote Bhagavatam, Bharatam, and many other Indian scriptures, many important ones. Everybody remembers who Vasishtha is? Where did we hear the name?
One of the Ramayana. Rama's.
Excellent. So that's awesome. Good job. So that is Sage Vasishtha. We heard about the greatness of Sage Vasishtha. He is the guru of Rama. He is the guru of his dad also, Dasharatha. He is the Purohit who used to take care of everything spiritual for the kingdom of Ayodhya, kingdom of Koshala. That is Sage Vasishtha. So Sage Vasishtha's son is Shakti. His name is Shakti. Shakti means strength, power. So Sage Vasishtha's son's name is Shakti. Shakti has a son. His name is Parashara. So you see that Sage Vasishtha is the great grandfather of Parashara. And Parashara's son is Veda Vyasa. So if you look at the hierarchy, Veda Vyasa's great grandfather is Sage Vasishtha, who we learnt about in Ramayana. So see how they are all connected, all the great people, all these sages who have this immense knowledge and vision. They're all connected together and they're all related together with each other. So Veda Vyasa, that is how we can associate to begin with that Veda Vyasa is the great grandson of Sage Vasishtha that we learnt about in Ramayana. Somebody had a question. You can unmute yourself and okay, there is no question. Okay, just wanted to tell who Vasishtha is. I appreciate it. I'm glad that you all remember all these names because these names are very important. They are the pillars of our dharma, our Hindu culture, Hindu religion. They are the pillars. So I'm very happy and proud of all of you for remembering all these words and their greatness. So that is who Veda Vyasa is. From a perspective of what we know, he is the great grandson of Sage Vasishtha. So at a very young age, he is another form of Vishnu. Lord Vishnu himself took a form as Veda Vyasa to give all this excellent literature that we have for all the next generations to know about the stories of God, about what happened thousands of years ago in the form of Ramayana, in the form of Bhagavatam, in the form of other Puranas. So how will everybody know? How will the next generations know? How will I know? How will you know? Somebody has to write it. Somebody has to tell us, oh, this is what happened. By the way, 5,000 years back, this is what happened. There was a big battle between good and bad. And guess who won? Good won. How did it all happen? Somebody has to tell all those stories to us for us to learn and to know, right? So that is Veda Vyasa. That is Valmiki. So, and what he did, he is the epitome. He is the personification of knowledge. He knows everything because he is a form of Vishnu. So he knows everything. What he did, one of the greatest accomplishments that he did is he divided Vedas into 4 forms. The whole structure of Vedas, the great knowledge of Hinduism that we have, what we call as Vedas, he divided them into 4, which is Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Yajur Veda, and Adharvana Veda. For now, just learn that Vedas is this education form that is only that is applicable to the Hindu culture. There are Veda schools where kids go for 15, 16 years. They learn one segment with either Rig Veda or Sama Veda, and that is how long it takes to learn that. So for somebody to learn the entire 4, it gets really difficult, right? So he said, I'm going to divide this into 4 so that whoever is learning these, whoever is seeking to learn these Vedas, they will be able to focus on one segment of the Vedas and they will be able to learn them in 15 years, 20 years, whatever time it takes. So that is a great accomplishment. That is a great blessing that Veda Vyasa has provided to the next generations. That is us. Also, Veda Vyasa, he wrote Mahabharata. Again, in this classes, in these segments, we are not actually going to discuss Mahabharata story. We are not going to go deep into the story of Mahabharata. But you all know, you must have seen movies, you must have seen storybooks, you must have read some books that talks about Kauravas and Pandavas. So Kauravas being the bad and Pandavas being the good, who are always accompanied by Lord Sri Krishna. So that is their story of how they both fought and how good prevailed. So that is the Mahabharata, and it is by far the largest epic, largest book ever in the entire universe. So to give you a context of how big it is. So Ramayanam, we learned about Ramayanam. We didn't go into every sloka that Valmiki wrote, but it took us 22 weeks, 25 weeks in fact, to complete the story of Ramayanam in a brief manner that we discussed. And it was written by Valmiki in 25,000 slokas, 25,000. So in that comparison, in 7 episodes, you all remember that there are 7 episodes in Ramayanam, right? So in comparison to Ramayanam itself is big and huge. In comparison to that, Mahabharatam is 125,000, about approximately 125,000 slokas. That means 5 times the size of what Ramayanam slokas are. 5 times. And we have 7 episodes in Ramayanam, and there are 18 episodes which are called Parvas in Mahabharata. So it is that big. So Veda Vyasa, when he started to write Mahabharatam, he said, okay, this is so big. If I have to think these slokas, again, slokas are like small poems with prose. So they have to follow the grammar. They have to follow which letter it is ending with. So the next line is also ending with the same letter. Each sentence has the same number of letters. So there are so many grammatical rules that they have to follow. So while Veda Vyasa is thinking all that, he has to write and think. So the delay of process, he anticipated that. He said, if I have to do both together, maybe it will take longer than I think it would take. So let me ask somebody's help. Who is capable of keeping up with my speed? Who can write without stopping? Who is so knowledgeable? Who is a wealth of knowledge? Who is the personification of knowledge? Who can help me with this project, prestigious project, and who can keep up with my speed? As I am chanting the slokas, somebody can taka write it, right? Then he thought, only Lord Ganesha. He has that speed. He will be able to keep up with me, and he will be able to write those as I chant those slokas. So he asked for Lord Sri Ganesha's help, and Ganesha said, of course I will help you, Lord Veda Vyasa. You are the form of Lord Vishnu, and you are taking up this great task of writing Mahabharata. I'm going to help you with that. So they both together came up with this project where Veda Vyasa, he continuously chanted the slokas. He just closed his eyes one after the other, 125,000 slokas. And Lord Ganesha, with his excellent speed and penmanship, he wrote all those slokas without asking, oh, what did you say again? What was the last word? Oh, the previous sloka, oh, I couldn't write it again. I want to erase it. I want to do it again. Can you say it? None of those. As he said those words, he wrote those exact words in that speed. So that is the great combination that happened while writing Mahabharata. Like I said, this is not a story. These segments will not have the story of Mahabharata. Hopefully we'll have some other sessions where we can discuss about Mahabharata. But there is a connection between Mahabharata and Bhagavatam. We're going to look at it later. But I just want to tell you how Veda Vyasa wrote this big 125,000 slokas epic Mahabharata and the greatness of it. So that is another accomplishment done by Veda Vyasa, another blessing given to the entire community of Hindus. Not only Hindus, I know so many people who write to me who are not Hindus, who knows these stories, who benefited by learning these stories, the slokas, and I know so many people who write to me who are not Hindus by birth, but who are very interested to learn about our culture, our stories, and Mahabharata, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and so on. So that is the blessings that he has given to the entire mankind, let's say that. So after that, he wrote Ashtadasa Puranas. So he wrote 18 Puranas. The names of the Puranas are here. So Matsya Purana, Markandeya Purana, Vishnu Purana, Vamana Purana, Varaha Purana, Vayu Purana, and like that 18 Puranas he wrote. So each of them vary in the size again. Some of them are 18,000 slokas, some of them are 40,000 slokas, So each of them is like a book by itself. Each of them is an episodes filled with episodes and an entire Purana by itself. So in out of the 18, we are going to discuss about this particular Purana, which is called Bhagavata Purana. So you see the literary accomplishments of Veda Vyasa, they're enormous. They're like an ocean. In that, the Bhagavatam itself is like a mini ocean. In that, we are going to take some, I won't say important because everything, every word that Veda Vyasa wrote is important, but some of the famous ones, some of the ones that we heard of before, we know of a little bit. So we are going to touch those, we are going to learn those stories in these episodes. Somebody had a question, somebody raised their hands. You can unmute yourself and ask your question. Okay, so excellent. You watch Mahabharata, very good. So that is excellent job. So these are all the literary accomplishments that were done by Veda Vyasa. So coming to Bhagavata Purana, so after he wrote the Mahabharata and all these Puranas and the division of Vedas and everything, he was still not happy. Veda Vyasa was still a little feeling incomplete. Oh, I have not accomplished everything that I wanted to. What is missing? He was very confused. Then remember how sage Narada came to the ashram of Valmiki and told him, you are going to write this excellent story. I'm going to tell you the story of Ramayana in a very small, concise manner. In the same way, sage Narada came and he said, you wrote all these great stories of Mahabharata. As great as it is not the entire pure story of the Lord. Lord Vishnu, he made so many miracles. He has done so much to this universe. Write the stories of the God. That is what will give you the satisfaction. That is the void that you're feeling, that you're missing something. So write the stories of Bhagavatam, the stories of the Lord, Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu, all of them, and put them all together in a nice little concoction of all these stories called Bhagavatam. So Veda Vyasa really liked that idea, and then he started this great project writing the Bhagavatam, which is the story of the gods, all the gods. There are stories about Indra, there are stories about Shiva, there are stories about all the other gods, there are stories about Lord Krishna, there are stories, even Ramayana, the story of Rama is written as a small part of Bhagavatam in the 9th episode. Not as big as the original Ramayana, but in a very concise manner. Even the story of Rama is written in this Bhagavatam. We are not going to go through it again, but I am telling you for the context. So this is a collection of all the stories of God that is called Bhagavatam. So again, when did this all happen? The story of Bhagavatam, how did this come out? When did this happen? So all of you remember we talked about the timelines and 4 yugas that happen, and that we are in Kali Yugam and the yugas before. We talked about all that. I hope you all remember that. Everything, the universe starts with Satya Yugam. The first and foremost that ever happened is Satya Yugam. Next comes Treta Yugam. Treta Yugam. Whose story happened in Treta Yugam? Everybody remembers whose story happened in Treta?
Rama.
Rama, exactly. Good job. So after Treta Yugam, the story of Rama happened. Next comes Dwaparayugam. Dwaparayugam is when the story of Sri Krishna, the story of Bhagavatam, all these happened in Dwaparayugam. Mahabharata, everything happened in Dwaparayugam. That is just one yugam before Kali Yugam. So we currently are in Kali Yugam. We are now in Kali Yugam. Right now, what we are looking at, the timelines we are in, that is called Kali Yugam. So the one before is Dwaparayugam. So our timelines mostly, they will be in Kali Yugam, in Dwaparayugam. The story, the current story. So first, I'm going to touch how these two stories, Bhagavatam and Mahabharatam, are connected. I told you, right? They touch each other. They has a little overlap with each other. But we are not going to go deep into Mahabharatam. We are just going to say the association of these two. So Mahabharatam, I know most of you have read the story a little bit. You must have seen some episodes on TV, movies in TV or in theater. So the main pretext of the story is there is Pandavas, who is Dharmaraja, Yudhishthira, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula and Sahadeva, the 5 brothers, who are the good guys, and Kauravas, who are the 100 brothers. The eldest of those brothers is Duryodhana. He's the bad guy, and he has a friend called Karna. Together, they are very greedy and they try to cheat Pandavas and take away their kingdom. Pandavas are very closely associated to Lord Sri Krishna. He is the cousin of Pandavas. And he always stayed with them because Lord Sri Krishna is always on the good side. He will be there where there is good. He will always protect good and eradicate evil. So he was associated with Pandavas, who helped fight the big battle of Kurukshetra that happened between Pandavas and Kauravas. And guess who won? Always the good wins. Pandavas won under the leadership of Sri Krishna. The Pandavas won the battle. Kauravas lost everything, and Pandavas became the kings of the entire land, and they got their kingdom back. Anuhya, you have a question? You can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Isn't Karna good because he's the oldest brother of the Pandavas?
He is the oldest brother. The good comes with your association. It is not inherent quality of somebody, whether they're good or bad. No one person is a complete personification, 100% good or bad. So Karna, even though he is the eldest brother by the story of Pandavas, according to the story, he is the eldest of all of them. But his association is bad. He is always with the bad people. He's always done bad things to good people. He's never sided with the good. Like Vibhishana, he was in the bad side. He was the brother of Ravana. But was he bad? No, he's good. He's good because it is by association that makes you good or bad. It is what you choose. If you choose to be good, even though your entire side is bad, like Ravana is bad, Kumbhakarna is bad, Indrajit is bad, but Vibhishana we pray to because he's good. He chose good. He associated with good. In the same way, even though Karna is the eldest brother of Pandavas, he chose to be on the bad side. By association, by nature, by his choices, he is the bad guy. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Anybody else? Any questions? Everybody has the same question. It is a little in-depth story where Karna, even though he's the eldest brother, he gets lost when he was a little kid and he doesn't know that Pandavas are his brothers, and he chooses to side with Duryodhana, and he chooses to be on the evil side. That is the pretext of the story. And at the big battle, at the end of the big battle, Kurukshetra, he decides to side with Duryodhana. And he says, okay, I'm going to fight on the bad side. And as we know, good always prevails. He loses the battle. Yes, Tejas and Shreyas, you have a question? Go ahead.
I'm pretty sure I heard once that that Krishna was the charioteer for Arjuna. Is that true?
Krishna, can you repeat the question? I didn't understand.
I heard once that Krishna was the charioteer for Arjuna. Is that true?
That is true. He is the charioteer in the battle of Kurukshetra, which is the magnum opus battle, the biggest battle that we ever know of in Dwaparayugam. That in that battle, Lord Sri Krishna, he made a promise not to touch any weapons. Even though he is a master of all the weapons, he has fought so many battles and won all the battles. He carries the Sudarshana Chakra, which can kill anybody, which can retaliate any weapon. He took an oath saying, I am not going to touch a weapon, but I am going to sit in front of the chariot of Arjuna. I'm going to lead them in the battle. I'm going to give my advice and suggestions. I'm going to lead them, but I'm not going to fight this battle directly with weapons. So he took that oath and he became the charioteer of Arjuna in that battle. You're absolutely right. So in that after the good prevailed and the Pandavas, the five brothers, won the battle, they got their kingdom, they became the kings, and they lived a very happy life thereafter. And their kingdom was very, very happy. The people in the kingdom were thriving happily. They were very, very happy with what they were getting with the kings and all the rain and every riches that they have. They had abundant food, water. There is no crime in the cities. Everybody was happy. So they led the happy life for many, many years, and things have to move on. That is how the world works, right? Even though they are very good, at some point they have to move on. They ascended to the heavens, and then after them, the next generation has to take on the responsibilities of the kingdom, right? So who is the next generation? So Arjuna, who is the middle brother after Dharmaraja, Bhima, this is Arjuna. We all know Arjuna, the greatest archer ever walked on this earth after Rama, of course. So he is the third brother in the five brothers of Pandavas. And he is the one who is the main character who led the battle of Kurukshetra. He's one of the reasons they won the battle. So again, like I said, Lord Krishna is the charioteer of Arjuna, and he created chaos in that battlefield with his skills of archery. So his son, I'm sure all of you are aware who his son is. I'm sure you've heard his name. Yes, Abhimanyu is Arjuna's son. Unfortunately, in the battle of Kurukshetra, Abhimanyu was a young boy. He was a very, very, very great warrior, as great as his dad. But he doesn't know small little tricks. He missed learning some of those tricks. And because of that, Abhimanyu got killed in that battle. In Kurukshetra, Arjuna lost his son Abhimanyu. Abhimanyu died in that battle. But he has a son called Parikshit. So in the lineage, if you see, Arjuna's son is Abhimanyu. Abhimanyu died in the battle, Kurukshetra, so he never became the king. He never got the reins of the king. He never was on the throne. But his son Parikshit, he is the lone next generation. The lineage, lone person that was alive after the battle of Kurukshetra from the lineage of Pandavas. So he took over the throne, he took over the responsibilities of the kingdom, and he became the king after Pandavas. So he is a great king. Again, he got all the qualities, the dharma qualities from his uncle Dharmaraja, and great archery, his strength, Bhima's strength, all of the great qualities he got. Parikshit got all those great qualities. And then he was ruling this kingdom like there is his like his uncle Dharmaraja ruled the kingdom very nicely, very efficiently. Since he is such a great warrior, nobody tried to invade his kingdom, nobody tried to attack him, he has no enemies. Everything was going picture perfect for him. All the people in his kingdom are very, very, very happy, and he was also very, very happy. So at this point, we are coming to a juncture where we are going to cross two things. First thing is, at this point, we are going to cross from Dwaparayugam into Kali Yugam, where Parikshit is the king now. And Pandavas, the five brothers, they are all gone, and they gave the responsibilities to Parikshit. So Dwaparayugam is ending here. Even Sri Krishna, he said, I am done with this particular avatar. I am going to give up my body and I am going to ascend to the heavens where I belong to. So he is also not on the earth anymore. So at that point, Dwaparayugam came to an end and Kali Yugam started. In Kali Yugam, the biggest problem in Kali Yugam is Kali is the person. He is like this invisible person that is around on the earth everywhere. What he does is he tries to go into each person and he tries to invoke the bad in that person. He tries to invoke laziness. He tries to make the person greedy. He tries to make the person angry. So all the human emotions that are not good for a human, Kali, he tries to go into each and every person and he tries to encourage those bad qualities. Even if somebody, they don't want to do something, oh, okay, I want to wake up early in the morning at 5 o'clock and read for my exam. I want to prepare for my test. So Kali says, no, sleep for a little bit more. It is so cozy outside, it is cloudy. Why don't you sleep for 1 more hour? You can wake up at 6 o'clock and still you can catch up with your studies, no big deal. So Kali, he will invoke that laziness in that person and he'll say, okay, sleep for a little bit longer. So somebody does a project, he forgets some part of it and he submits the project. So instead of telling the lie that he did not complete it, Kali says, just lie about it. It's okay. It's a small lie. What is the big deal if you lie? So Kali brings out that evil. And where is this Kali? Everywhere. That is the prominence of this yugam. It is hard to be good. It is not easy to be good, but we have to work even harder to be good. We have to keep our truthfulness. We have to keep our honesty. We have to keep our strength and be good always. But who is going to be coming in the way to do that? Kali. For all of us, for you, for me, for your parents, for your grandparents, everybody, Kali is everywhere. But how do we fight this Kali? By these stories, by the presence of Lord, by thinking of Lord Sri Krishna. Okay, I'm going to wake up at 5:30 in the morning. Kali is saying, no, you're not. You're going to sleep for 7. Then I'm going to pray to Lord Sri Krishna. Lord Sri Krishna, I don't have the strength within me. I don't have that. But you can give that to me. Make me strong from inside so that I wake up at 5:30. I do the hard work to accomplish what I want to accomplish. I have obstacles. I sometimes feel weak because of Kali. He keeps telling me, don't do this. Okay, you can lie, you can cheat, you can get away with this. But put me in the right path. Who will help you with that? Lord Sri Krishna will help you with that. That is why we listen to these stories to stay beyond this effect of Kali. So that is what the Kali Yugam, the speciality of Kali Yugam is. So what can help us get away from Kali is the name of the God. So always chant the name of the God. Jai Sri Krishna, Jai Sri Rama, Anjaneya, Hanuman. So that will help you get away from this bad impact of Kali. So why we talk about Kali is, as Dwaparayugam crossed and Kali Yugam started, Kali came and he is everywhere, right? So now he wants to impact Parikshit, but Parikshit is so pure. Parikshit is always good. He is the grandson of Dharmaraja, who is the personification of knowledge, personification of Dharma. So how can he impact him? So Parikshit, he loves hunting. You all remember how the kings go to the forest and they start hunting. We heard in the story of Vishwamitra. We heard in many other stories, right? So they take all their entourage. They go to the forest where there is all these wild animals growing and they're impacting the nearby villages. So the kings, they go and they take their archery equipment. They take their swords. They take their weapons and they kill the wild animals. So Parikshit also, he went to the forest like that. At this point, Kali is around him. Kali is impacting him. Okay, Kali is trying to put bad thoughts into his head. Will he be able to fight them out? Will he be impacted or not? That is the question, right? So after hunting for a little while, he got tired. Parikshit, he got tired, and as he looked around in the forest, what else is there in the forest? What do we normally come across in these stories? The ashrams of these great sages, right? There is one ashram that Parikshit saw from the vicinity. He saw it is very pure and it is very serene, very calm, very peaceful. Then he said, okay, I'm going to go into this ashram. The sage there, I'm going to take blessings of the sage. Maybe I'll rest for a little while, get some water to drink because I'm very thirsty. I'm tired from all this hunting and all the heat. And then he went into the ashram. So far, so good. His intentions are good. Kali's impact is not on him yet. So he went in, he knocked on the doors, he looked around, he called for people, hey, anybody in? I am the king around here. I am the king Parikshit. I came here to seek your blessings and I'm real thirsty. I want to take some rest. So nobody answered. So he was getting a little restless. How come I am the king of this kingdom and nobody is answering me? How dare they? So the effect of Kali is coming in. When you have that ego, oh, I am this great. Oh, I am so good at this. I am so good at that. Oh, I can brag about this. That is all impacts of Kali, right? The modesty is non-Kali. The ego is Kali again. So he is feeling that arrogance. He is feeling that ego, that he is the king and nobody answering. Nobody, there is no red carpet. There is no welcoming. There is no music to welcome him. What is all this? I am the king and nobody respects me here. And then as he was looking around, he saw one sage sitting there meditating. And you know, while meditating, these sages, they are so spiritually strong that they go into this trance. They have no idea what is happening around. Where did we hear such kind of story? You all remember sage Kapila was doing his penance, tapas in Patala. When Sagaras went into Patala looking for the horse, Indra quietly went and put the horse there. Sage Kapila, he didn't even know that somebody came, put the horse. He has no idea because he was in that meditation. He was in that aura. He was completely involved. But when the Sagaras came, all that sound, he suddenly woke up and he burnt all of them. Remember that story? Same thing. This sage is also completely involved. This sage's name is Sage Shamika. Shamika Muni, he is completely involved in his meditation. He is completely involved in the Lord. And he did not know that King Parikshit is here. He couldn't hear anything that King Parikshit was saying. So Parikshit called him, hey, hello, mister, hello, sir, namaskaram to you. He tried to talk to him. He tried to wake him up from the trance, but he couldn't. Then the impact of Kali, that woke him up. That woke who? The King Parikshit. He completely got involved in that impact of Kali and he started thinking with his arrogance. Oh, I am this great king Parikshit. There is nobody who can fight with me. There is no enemy that can stand in front of me in the battlefield. I am the grandson of Dharmaraja. I am the grandson of the greatest archer Arjuna in Dwaparayugam. And he is sitting here, he didn't even stand up to give me respect. He did not welcome me. This is not acceptable. He got ego. He got impacted by the Kali. Then what did he do? Since he is not waking up, I'm going to insult him somehow. I want to insult him. What do I do? Then he saw around and he saw a dead snake lying there. The snake was dead, it was cold, it was not moving. So he took it out and he put the dead snake around the neck of the meditating sage. Did that impact the sage? Not even a bit. Because the sage is meditating, he has no idea what is happening. That sage could crawl on his lap and he wouldn't know. He is in that deep of meditation. But Parikshit, he wanted this revenge. He wanted to show his spite that he was not recognized. So he took that dead snake as an insult to the sage. He put it around his neck and he left from there with anger, ego, arrogance, all sorts of things that are provoked by Kali. Otherwise, Parikshit is a great king who always respected the scholars. He invited the sages and all these rishis. He prayed to them. He always took their blessings. All the good things he has done. But for that fraction of second, he got angry. He got egoistic. He got arrogant. And he did this grave, big mistake. Disrespecting somebody who is in prayer, who is in connection with the God. That is not acceptable. So that kind of grave mistake Parikshit has done. Somebody raise their hands. You can unmute yourself and ask the question.
Yes, I am Sham. Why is a person putting a snake?
Exactly. Parikshit, he felt that he was insulted because Sage Shamika, because he is in meditating mode, he did not recognize him, he did not invite him, he did not offer him anything because Sage Shamika, he was in deep meditation. So Parikshit, King Parikshit felt agitated, he felt insulted, he wanted to take revenge. What revenge? He's a sage. He has no ego. He has no, he's always meditating. He's praying to God. What revenge against a sage? He didn't even use his common sense. The greatest king of that times, he fell for Kali's magic and he fell for his ego and he put a dead snake around his neck to insult the sage for not welcoming him. So this happened and he went back to his kingdom. As soon as he went back to his kingdom, he realized that he has done a mistake. Because Kali, he wore off. You know how these things happen. We've all been there. At that moment, we get really, really mad, really, really angry. We say something either to our mom or to dad or to our friend. We don't mean it. But after an hour or so, we sit on our desk and we're like, oh, why did I say that? I shouldn't have said that. Oh, maybe I hurt that person really, really bad. I should have been gentle with that person. I shouldn't have said like that. I shouldn't have lied about it. I should have completed this. There is always, we've all been there. That is why we are living in Kali Yugam, right? That is the impact of Kali. But what can help us get through that? In the name of the God. Prayer to God. That is the only thing that can help us. So, what he did, Parikshit, he realized that, but the damage is done. He knows he has done a grave mistake. So he went into the prayer hall. He did his prayer, but the mistake is already done. So how did it haunt him? How did it punish him? That sage has a son. His name is Shrungi. He is also a very, very, very powerful, spiritually powerful sage. He's very scholarly. He's learned all the scriptures at a very young age. He has this big aura around him. His name is Shrungi. So the dad's name, the sage who has the dead snake around him, his name is Shamika. The son's name, who is very scholarly, his name is Shrungi. So everybody came and told Shrungi, hey, you know what happened? This king came and he insulted your dad. Your dad, he's still in meditation, but he came and he put a dead snake around your dad's neck. We were all there, but we couldn't do anything because he's the king. We all feel so insulted and we all feel so bad about your father. Shrungi, he looked at it with his vision, with the third vision in his mind. He looked at everything that happened and he got very angry with King Parikshit. So he said, because King Parikshit misbehaved with my father, who is the sage, who is very knowledgeable, who should be revered, who should be prayed to, who should be respected. Instead, he got insulted. I am going to curse the king. Within 7 days, on the 7th day from now, he will die by the bite of a snake called a takshak. He gave that curse. He said, this is going to happen. There is nothing that can stop this. On the 7th day from now, that king, wherever he is in this entire universe, a snake called Takshak will come and bite him, and that poison will be the cause for his death. Look, one mistake that he has done in silliness, in arrogance, in the slip of mind, even he has a repentance. He is repenting after going back. None of that matters. The damage has done. The people that should be respected should never be insulted. So he's paying that price. Immediately the impact happened. Immediately. So the news immediately, Sage Shamika, he understood some commotion was happening. He woke up from his meditation. He saw a dead snake on his neck. Again, he is a sage. He gave up all the worldly pleasures. He gave up arrogance. He gave up anger. Everything he gave up. So he took out the dead snake, he threw it out there. He didn't even care where that came from. And then he closed his eyes and he saw everything that happened. Then he immediately called his son and he said, Shrungi, you made a big mistake. He is the great King Parikshit. And now we just entered into this Kali Yugam, where all the worlds will be impacted by Kali. They will succumb to the weaknesses of lying. They will succumb to the weaknesses of addictions. They will succumb to the weaknesses of laziness. But this king could have helped everybody in the world. But with your anger, you cursed him. You shouldn't have done that. So immediately call the messengers and let him know that this has happened, and let him know that he has 7 days to live. That is the least that we can do. So immediately he called upon messengers. He sent them to Parikshit, and Parikshit, he was really, really devastated. But he understood that this is a circumstance. He is paying for the mistake that he has done. He is repenting, he is sad, he is sorrow. He knows that this is something that he has done to himself, but he cannot do anything about it. So he did not do what to do. He did not know what to do. He has this big responsibility of the kingdom. He knows that he will live only for 7 days. What to do now? So for a king, what he could do is, okay, I have 7 days. Bring me all the luxuries in this entire world. Bring me all the chefs from around the world and ask them to make me pastries, all the good items, sweets, all the condiments, all the nice stuff, and make me all these nice things. And bring me a TV, bring me Netflix, bring me Amazon Prime. I'm going to watch all these shows, have fun, and I have all these nice luxuries. So no, he said, I want to connect with the Lord. In 7 days, I want to know everything to know about the God, all the great stories of the God. Who can tell me? Who can tell me the stories, and who can give me the liberation from this body and unite me with the God himself, Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva, Lord Krishna. So then Suka Brahma. So again, we looked at the hierarchy, right? Under this, Veda Vyasa's son is Suka Brahma. He has a son, Veda Vyasa. He is Suka Brahma. Veda Vyasa himself taught him the stories of Bhagavatam. So he knows everything that Veda Vyasa knows. He is the personification of knowledge. He is like a walking Brahma, Lord Brahma himself. So he came to that place where Parikshit is wondering who can tell him everything about the Lord. He said, I will tell you. I will explain the stories of the God to you. In 7 days, I can tell entire Bhagavatam to you. Once you know that, you will unite with the Lord. You will unite with Lord Vishnu himself. So don't worry. Be happy. 7 days are more than enough for you to achieve your liberation. So Parikshit, he immediately folded his hands. He took the blessings of his guru. Who is his guru now? Suka Brahma, because he is going to teach him about Bhagavatam. He is going to tell the stories of the Lord to Parikshit. So I was going to give you guys, so I'm going to give you the landscape of Bhagavatam, and then the first story we are going to start next week. I was going to give you a little story of how the story started and everything, but we are going to do that next week, keeping time in mind. So Suka Brahma, he told all these stories to Parikshit. So in a way, this is all flashback. These stories happened sometime in the past, and now Suka Brahma is telling these stories to King Parikshit. So that is how Bhagavatam happened. How many episodes are there in Bhagavatam? There are 12 episodes. In this, they are called Skandas. And 332 chapters altogether, about 16,000 to 18,000 slokas. It comprises of Bhagavatam. But in our story, in our sessions, we are not going to look at all the 12 episodes. We are going to handpick some of these stories. I told you this is a collection of so many great stories of the God. We are going to handpick some of the stories. The story of Prahlada. I'm sure you all heard this name, Prahlada, the great devotee of Lord Vishnu, and the story of Narasimha. We're going to discuss that next week. The story of Gajendra, the king of all elephants, Gajendra. He is very strong elephant who fights with the crocodile. That is from the 8th skanda. The story of Prahlada is from the 7th skanda. And the many stories of Lord Sri Krishna when he was a small little baby, small little boy, and when he was your age. Okay, so this is what we are going to discuss in our stories. We are not going to discuss the entire 12 episode, each and every story there is, because that's a lot of stories, right? So this is what we are going to do in this next weeks. So next week I'm going to tell you the stories of how this all started. But for now, we are going to conclude the story segment. After the stories, we are going to start a new stotram we are going to learn in the coming weeks. It's called Krishna Astakam. Astakam means 8. So there are 8 slokas in this stotram. We are going to learn those slokas, and it is called Krishna Astakam because these stotras sing the praises of Lord Krishna. So quickly, let's do 1 to 2 words. We'll do a repetition. Next week, we are going to do the same slokas again. Then I will tell the story. I'll tell the meaning of the slokas. Okay, please.
I know this too, sir.
Very good, Shyam. Good job. So please repeat.
Moksha.
Okay, Moksha. Good job, Moksha. Okay, Shyam, you have a question?
Yes, sir. I have a question.
Go ahead.
What does praises mean?
Tejas?
Praises.
Praises. Okay, praises means, oh, okay, Shyam is such a good boy. Shyam is a wonderful boy. Shyam can sing so well. Shyam can learn anything quickly. All these are praises. Saying something good, saying something good about the other person is praises. So we are going to sing the praises because there is only good about the Lord. And out of that, we are going to take some good and we are going to say about the Lord as his prayers. Okay? Please repeat after me. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Atasi Pushpa Samkasham Haranupura Shobhitam Ratnakankana Keyuram Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. So in all the 8 slokas, the ending will be Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. So once you know this, it's almost like you know the 30% of the sloka already. Okay, all the 8 slokas end with Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. So it will get easy. So we're going to do it the same 2 slokas next week. So then we can practice a little bit more. Okay. With that, we will conclude the sloka selection also. We'll move on to the Mangala Shasanam. I know you all remember what Mangala Shasanam is. Wishing the best for the entire world. Please sing along with me. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om, Sri Guru Bhyo Namaha, Sarvam Sri Krishnarpanamastu. With this, we will conclude our session for today. If you have any questions, stay back. If not, you're free to leave now. Have a great week. I'll see you next week.
Bye, sir.
Hari Om, Hari Om,
Hari Om, sir. Bye.
Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. Anybody has any questions? So somebody asked, are we going to learn about Krishna as a child and everything he did? Yes, we are going to learn the stories of Krishna when he was a little child and as he was growing up and how he punishes and how he destroys the evil. We are going to learn about those. That is the story of Bhagavatam, 10th episode. So somebody also, Harini asked, oh, Abhimanyu's son is Parikshit. Abhimanyu's young. Yes, he got married young. That's how they used to get married at a young age. So that's his son, Abhimanyu.